Hi, thanks for joining me. I'm Mark. You're very welcome to my wee workshop here in County Down in Northern Ireland. Thank you so much to all the folks who commented on my very first foray into YouTube making, and I'd like to say a really big thank you to some of my YouTube heroes. Demetrius at Scrapwood City in Greece, Fabian at Fabian's Tiny Workshop in Germany, Steve Carmichael in Georgia at the Carmichael Workshop, and Pete Brown at Shoptime. And thank you so much for all the lovely comments. You guys have really encouraged me and encouraged me to get back into my workshop as well, which I hadn't done for many years. And that's what I want to encourage other people to do. Just get out there and make things. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be great. I'm certainly not. This week I'm not actually making anything in the workshop. I'm going to tidy out my back storeroom. Like most makers, I'm a bit of a pack rat, but that doesn't excuse using your storeroom as a dumping ground for the last 7 or 8 years. As the nice lady from the hardware store likes to say, I have accumulated a very impressive collection of cack. I understand it's from the ancient Greeks. She's a very educated person, you know. I'll be coming back to that in maybe a few weeks or so, something like that. I'll show you some snapshots of before and after, and maybe you can share in the catharsis that there is of tidying out something that you've neglected for many years. And you never know, I may discover things in there that may inspire us to make something. Now, I wanted to say a few things about Mum's Shelves project, the video that I made last time. There were a few things that I had to leave out because I wanted to make the video snappy. And something that I felt a bit sort of conscious about was the way that I put the ends together. Let's see if I can do this, give you an idea. Something like this. So that I was screwing into the end grain of the MDF. Now normally, to make things robust, I would put a batten in there, something like that, because I really like this batten and board construction because it makes it very strong and sturdy. But in this case, to give it that sort of contemporary sort of look, it had to be a much cleaner sort of joint. But the way I did it really was I just cut these on the band, so I squared them off and then made them nice and true on the belts, on the disc sander, and then buttoned them up to each other so that they were square on. And that wasn't a very satisfying way to do it. I clamped it with a large clamp. But I saw April Wilkerson using a very interesting pair of large, well, they looked like really big chunky T-squares. They were much more, it was just a much more satisfying way to do it. The decorative frame that I made to go around to finish it turned out really quite nicely. I was very pleased with it. And the way I made those little squares on the end of it was just to cut off a square of scrap mahogany, same thickness as the frame, and plonk it on the end. And I just CA glued it onto the end of it, cleaned it up on the disc sander, and then I was ready to roll. Once I put the frame in place, of course I didn't want the pins to show, so I got a nail punch and tapped them down so that they were recessed beneath the surface. And then to fill in the holes, just a little bit of neutral coloured plastic wood. Once I'd sanded those down, it looked fine, they just went invisible. And a couple of coats, maybe 3 coats of water-soluble satin-based varnish. It looked quite nice when it was finished and I was quite pleased with it. Well, this week we've had adventures too. First of all, the weather has been the most crazy bonkers. We've had it for years and years. Now in Northern Ireland, you've got to be prepared to have 4 seasons in one day. But we've had 4 seasons in 20 minutes here. This morning we had hail. We've had a gale of wind and rain, beautiful sunshine. If it snows later on, I won't be at all surprised. But the weather is not the only thing that has been an adventure. We had a leak in our bathroom. You can put your own joke in here if you want. But the reason I mention it is not because it made a real big mess or anything, because it didn't, was because our local plumber, Chris Henry, what a guy, responded to our call in 3 minutes. And this is, I'm not making this up, this is not a joke. He really was here and on the job within 3 minutes of us having called. He happened to be going through our village and he just responded to our call. What a guy. The whole thing was done and dusted within half an hour. So call the Guinness Book of Records, it's got to be a record surely. But that wasn't the end of our adventures. I think that was last Wednesday. Within about half an hour of Chris having left the house and fixed all the plumbing stuff and everything, and we started tidying up, we decided to have a nice cup of tea in order to calm our nerves. And the nice lady from the hardware store said, I can hear some scritching around in the attic. So we opened the trap, and what got into the house but a bat? A bat. Oh, there you go. We had a bat in our house. That's actually not the first time that we had one, but that's a story for another time. Well, that's about it for this tea break. I better get back to work. Thanks for dropping in. Next time you come, bring biscuits, cookies, and you'll be very, very welcome. If you've enjoyed this, please subscribe. If you've enjoyed it, please share it with somebody you like. If you haven't enjoyed it, share it with somebody you don't like. I'd just like to say thank you so much for looking in, and we'll do this again real soon. And until then, God's blessing and for us all.